So whenever you're ready, Jazz, I'll let you
Okay.
begin.
Hey everybody, I'm Jasmine, and this is our second round table discussion. And today we'll be talking about people bringing their past or childhood issues into adulthood.
Right.
Um, Jazz, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jasmine.
Kev.
All right, y'all know me, man. This is the YouTube platform I created so that we can have discussions like this because it's very important. I feel like we all have issues and baggage that we take with us into our adult relationships, and I feel like us talking about these issues, will help us at least learn to better understand each other so that we can better learn to cope with those issues as we interact with each other. So that's why we're here, and that's why this roundtable discussion is going to be a new thing for us.
And real quick, me and Jazz also have a YouTube upcoming YouTube. It's actually going to be called the Comfort Room.
Oh, that's dope.
Um,
I like that. That's
yeah,
dope. That's dope.
yeah.
And one,
Nah, so it's gonna be probably the next roundtable discussion. We'll probably introduce it, like the link, everything you need. But
word, and I'll link their channel to mine so that way we can kind of collab and go back and forth. All right. So who wants to start off um, and kind of get right into it? Jazz, do you remember the question that you had asked last week?
well, the exact question was basically, at what point do we stop blaming the things that's going on in our lives on our past childhood or our upbringing? At what
Mm,
point do we uh hold on? At what point? I had a word for it, but basically, at what point do we stop blaming? At what point do we take ownership for what's going on right now?
right. And
Right.
Jazz, you can.
do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, everybody know that it's easy to put the blame off on something else, and
Right.
not own up to what what you're doing, or just simply it's just the choice that you're making. And I think
Mm,
that's really what it is. It's like, nobody wants to say, this is just a choice. It's more of, well, I was brought up this way, this is why I don't do this. Oh, well, I wasn't brought up in a loving home, this is why this. You know what I'm saying? And but at some point you have to get to a point where you're making your own decisions, not based off your childhood. If you live your life like that forever, all you doing is recreating what you went through.
other Jazz, other Jazz.
Sorry. Um, I believe that the things that happen to us in our childhood is obviously something that sticks with us forever. But it also it comes a time where we have to leave the past in the past, and in order to move forward and be better for not only ourselves but better in our relationship, we're gonna have to drop some of that stuff. I mean, and it's always hard and it's always difficult for people, but that actually ruins so many relationships because of the things that we bring into the relationship um, from what happened before in your childhood, or most of us have daddy issues where we didn't grow up with a father. So, because I personally have daddy issues, should I bring that into every relationship I'm in? No. Most of the time, I wouldn't even tell the people about my past with my father. Uh, it's because it's not relevant. It's over with. It's done with.
When you say it's not relevant, what do you mean by that?
It's not relevant for my relationship. That's how I feel. I feel like it does nothing for my relationship for my partner to know about my daddy issues. Um, I feel like what happens to me or happens to anybody in the past, can it drag into the future? Yes, but I think you can actually have full control over that. Um, to me, it's not relevant. It's not something to be brought up into the relationship all the time. Let me just say that all the time. Um, we don't have
But
to
do
talk
you
about
think
it all the time.
that? Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But do you think that your issues with your father? Do you think it possibly it changes how you are in a relationship?
I was just about to
Absolutely,
get into that. Hmm.
Because
absolutely.
even though you may not speak upon it, it still affects the way you act in a relationship, or even how you choose a person for a relationship.
Well, I agree. It's absolutely that's very true. But that's where we take care of ourselves first. Then we get into the relationship. There's no reason that you did not take care of yourself after your issues in your childhood before you got into something serious. If you would have took care of it, you went to therapy, you spoke about it, you acknowledged the issue before you got into a relationship, at that point you don't need to bring it into the relationship because it's already handled.
See, this is my
Right.
theory, and this is part of the reason why I think so many people struggle in their relationships. And I'm real firm on this theory. So to kind of back up from the beginning. So the problem is this is a two-part problem. The way that I see it, it's just my this is just my opinion. We live our lives with the perception that time passes in a linear sense, meaning from beginning to end in a straight line. But time, the way we experience it and the way we interact with people and the way we internalize those interactions and the way we process those experiences, it's not linear, it's perennial. The problem I have is you just said if you deal with your issues and you go, go to therapy, you kind of get control of whatever it is you've dealt with or were dealing with, that
Mhm.
it's not necessarily relevant for your relationship. Well, the problem with that is that as you meet different people, as you interact with different people, and as you get into different stages in your relationship, there are going to be certain triggers that you might not have necessarily foreseen while you were processing your past whatever.
Mhm.
And those different experiences can invoke maybe new feelings or thoughts or stresses based on what happened before. So the reason why I think it's always important, always, 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 to talk with your partner in the earlier stages about whatever potential issues you dealt with or whatever things you might have gone through, even if you feel like you've already resolved them. It's not just a trust builder. It's not for you because you already resolved those issues. It's for them. Because what happens 6 months into that relationship, a year into that relationship, when things start to occur over the natural course of that relationship that starts to subconsciously trigger those
Mhm.
things you thought you resolved. The reason why it's for that other person is so that they have it in the back of their minds what things you've dealt with and went through. And they can have that understanding. So they know how to approach you and they know how to process what it is you're dealing with rather than just be like, oh, this is a crazy bitch or this is a crazy ass nigga. Like, he don't know how the fuck to be a man, but he didn't have a father. But him having those discussions with you early on, he don't know. Like, you meet a man, right, as a woman, and you don't have kids with him yet. You don't have any kids of your own, but you're thinking about having a family one day. He may think he resolved all the issues he had with not having a father or a male figure, and you may be fine for the first 2 years,
Mhm.
and then you have a child, and now you start to see where those things weren't, were lacking in his past and in his childhood. Well, if he would have had that conversation, then you would have that understanding, and the two of you can build on that together. It's always important.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What y'all think?
I think that's absolutely right.
So the next question I have, right? If we say at some point, because I believe this, and this is kind of a flaw with my personality, and I'm always conflicted when I talk about stuff like this because on one hand, I have a hard time pacifying adults. I feel like if you're an adult, you know what the fuck you should be doing. You should know what should be expected of you, and you get it done. But then on the other hand, the problem I have with that is we all create our own realities, right? Whatever whatever our belief system is, however we calibrate our moral compass, however we were raised, whatever has to do with you, that becomes our reality. And when you have a reality that you live by and that you're used to, you may not even think it's something wrong, but you may not know how to reacclimate to another person's world or what their reality is.
Mhm.
And so, not to say that it's making an excuse, but how do you get through to a person whom you may feel is lacking serious qualities or things and that they could be bringing to that relationship, but based on their lives up to that point, they either may not know that they're missing those things, or if they do, they may not know how to materialize those things. So, what do you do in those situations?
Hmm. I don't really have an answer.
What was it?
I said I really don't have an answer.
Because that's we all deal with this shit in our relationships. Everybody, some way, shape, or form. It don't matter what
Well,
it is. Go ahead, Jack.
well, I mean, my personal opinion when it comes to, what you've been through and how do you, deal with those things in your relationship. This is why you have conversations,
Hmm.
because once you have that initial conversation about what you have been through and how it affects you, then it should be something that you and your partner can work through. You know what I'm saying? Because not saying that it can be it should be an excuse to why you do certain things, but it could be a better understanding on why you do certain things. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And the problem that I have with that is people use that and abuse that. This is what I've been through in my childhood. Oh, I see my mother, my parents get beat on. Or I seen cheating in my childhood. Those things are not okay because you know that is wrong at the end of the day. You know that is wrong, even though you may seen that happen. You can't tell me that that's something that you don't know that's wrong.
You're right. But would you
So,
agree? Would you not to cut you off? I'm sorry. Would you agree that sometimes there's a difference between what should happen, what's supposed to happen, and what actually happens? Because I think people underestimate the power of conditioning. We are all conditioned. Races are conditioned, genders are conditioned, we as human beings are conditioned. And you got to think when you live the majority of your lives being molded by other people, even before you're conscious of knowing whether or not those people are should be trusted with the ability to do that, by the time you take control of your life, by the time you come into your own into early adulthood, you've already had so many hands on that clay that you don't know what that product is, but now you're responsible for reshaping that finished product. And that's not easy to do for a lot of people. And most people don't even realize it's an issue until later on, because every relationship is not going to be so deep and involved that you're going to even want to explore those things. The majority of the early relationships we get into is trial and error, and we pick up more baggage and we pick up more issues. And by the time you end up with somebody that you actually want to develop yourself for, a lot of times it's a lot of rubble to sort through. What do you do in those situations? Whether you're that person or the person dealing with that person.
see, this is the problem now. It's not so much what are you doing in those situations. It's more of why are we getting in situations where we're not willing to go above and beyond for our partner. Because if you have somebody that have those type of issues, see, that's the thing. It's how deep you're willing to go in a relationship. If you're not willing to go that deep and be that your bond being that strong, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. Everybody takes relationships for granted nowadays. It's like you just get in a relationship because you want to sleep with somebody every night. You
Right.
have to learn how to be that deep with your partner in order to be able to understand and work on those type of issues.
Hmm.
Right.
People just choosing to be in a relationship just for what? For what? You're gonna have to work, just like y'all said. You're gonna have to work, right? The last round table we said you should treat your relationship like a job. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to work. If you're not willing to put in that type of work, then you need not to be in a relationship, because everybody has some type of issue from their childhood. There's nobody that had a perfect childhood. I don't believe so.
No, of course not. But you know the problem, I think? I think most people don't I don't think most people do it on purpose initially. I think most people generally are genuinely oblivious to exactly what baggage and issues they're bringing into those relationships. And like you had mentioned last week, when you bring up certain issues to your partner and they say, "Oh, you're just talking shit. You're just starting shit." Most people genuinely feel that way because they don't realize the connection that goes back to their issues. So it's not just a matter of, in my opinion, being willing to go above and beyond for your partner. It's knowing how. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but initially you have to learn how.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you don't just get into a relationship knowing how to go
Exactly.
that deep. You have to learn it. If you really care for somebody, that's something it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? You learn how to be there for a person. You
Uh-huh.
learn how to understand a person, learn how to listen to a person. But it just people not doing that. They just getting in that relationship, and the first sign of something going wrong, you know what I'm saying, they run.
100%.
And when
So,
I say run, I don't mean leave out that relationship, but that
oh,
that
no, I
that
know.
goes along with cheating and
Right.
doing all those things. You get what I'm saying?
Of
I
course.
I think the opposite, Kevin. I think that people are intentionally using their past, their childhood, whatever happens as a clutch. I do.
I'm sure there's some. Yeah, I'm sure there's some.
I think that we're in a generation of the whole we're in the Me Too movement generation. So everybody is gonna use maybe sexual abuse that they have gone through. Not saying that they haven't, but they're going to use that in every aspect.
All
Um
right, hold on real
Yeah.
quick, Jazz, not to cut you off.
uh,
Yo, so Adam just joined the roundtable with us. Adam, we're live right now on my YouTube stream. We're talking about people in their childhood and their past experiences, how it affects their adult relationships.
All right. First of all, you already know what it is. Jasmine, what's good, baby? Long
Yo, what's
time no
good,
see.
Adam? How you? How you?
I'm good. Regular shit. You know how it go.
That's
All
what's
Out
right.
here
up.
surviving. You know what I mean?
So, all right. So I'm gonna let Jazz finish what she was saying. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to
okay.
introduce the stream. But go ahead.
Yeah.
You were saying. Go ahead, Jazz.
I was saying that, I believe that when situations happen, a person might say, "Oh, well, I was abused as a kid," so, and they'll use that as a clutch so long, and they'll meet a person like me that's like, "I'm sorry, how many times do I have to care about you in your past, where it's destroying our relationship, or I'm altering how I am as a person because you want to keep throwing that in my face."
Right.
Um, so many people do that, and that to me is what ruins relationship, because you could be in a relationship with somebody. You could be in a relationship with somebody, and then they've been doing that to you. You've been with them for like 2 years, and then you get with somebody else, and you kind of like, "Oh boy, this person got a story," and you don't want to hear it. You don't want to be involved in the story. So it's yeah, there are so many people out there that's literally just sitting on a story.
So you don't think that there are a lot of people out here, and I'm not saying it's the case for everyone, but I think maybe even if it's split down the middle. You don't think there's people out here who are not 100% aware of exactly how their experiences are affecting their current relationship?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I think there are a lot of people like that. It's just unfortunately, I think there are more people who are aware and are intentionally harming their relationship.
Okay, and I'm gonna kick it to Adam after this. So you said that. Now here's the thing: in our last stream, we kind of touched a little bit on it. At that point, if
Hmm.
we know those people to use that as a crutch, at what point is it okay? Either you need to change this, or at what point is it, well, this is now my fault because I'm enabling you to continue to do what I'm aware of you doing. Adam, what's your thoughts on all this?
Can you repeat the statement? My bad. Nigga just came off work. You know what I mean? How it
Yeah.
goes. Got a little
So
drink. Say that one more time, big bro.
Yeah, so we're basically talking about, right? Let's say you meet a girl who, let's say maybe she had issues with her father in the past, she has those unresolved dad
Uh,
issues, right? Now,
yeah.
you feel like in your interactions with her that she's purposely using those past experiences as a way to get out of doing what's necessary in your relationship, right? How do you deal with that? And then at what point do you say, I'm just not going to deal with it anymore?
Deal with it and like, well, give me an example of like get out of what.
So, like, well, it would depend. What are some of your requirements for somebody who would be in a relationship with you? What are some of the things you would expect from them to be brought to the table?
Well, you know me. My bad. You know me, my nigga. Like loyalty, trust, communication. All three of those things are big for me, bro. Especially the shit I've been through. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Anyone that I can't trust, I can't trust them. And number one key thing is if I feel or I felt like you was basically if you mess around with anybody that I know because of my past, you understand what I'm saying? I can't talk to you. Not like that anyway. We could be cool, but you understand? If I feel like you've been abused in any way, meaning like sexually or you know what I'm saying? Like anything like that, that's a hard burden to carry. Like say your uncle had did something to you or your big brother or your dad or there's some sick individuals in this world, bro. So that's a real hard burden for me to carry because
Okay, so
you
wait.
understand that.
All right, so this is interesting. Did y'all hear him, Jazz? Because So now what I'm asking. So are you saying that if you're dealing with a female who has that deeply rooted pain and hurts from her past, you saying that there's a potential there that you may opt to not even be in the relationship?
From the door, you know why? Because think about it. Say we get to the sexual part or whatever, and she's like, she freaks out. She pushes me. She punches me, knees me in the balls. Any of the above. Or she's like, babe, I just need some time. I need some time. You know how it goes. Now, you could be sympathetic to her. You can agree with her and be cool and try to. But end of the day, bro, you're a human being. And on top of it, you're a man. Not saying you're going to go out and cheat on her, but you can only. It's like basically holding out a bid for somebody. That's what I feel. Like if you're with your man's or your girl and they go to jail. It's a perfect example. Are you gonna ride out for 50 years, bro? You're gonna ride out for 20 years? No way. That's not gonna happen. Eventually.
Well, then you ain't gonna be dating no women, because that's majority of the women in the world.
That's true.
So many women are sexually assaulted. You could be in a bar right now, and your friend rub on another woman's on a woman's ass, and now she's in a relationship, and anybody that rub on her ass, she has a conflict. So now you got a difficult time.
Hold on, Adam. Hold on, Adam.
Yeah.
Other Jasmine, what you got to say about that? Because that's a good point she brought up. Because it's not just about how we as men and as the other person relates to and identify those abuses. It's about how that person internalizes it. So what you got to say about that, Jazz?
I think that when it comes to women and men, see that goes along with women think differently. Men, I can see, I can understand where he's coming from, thinking like a man. You know what I'm saying? But as far as that is majority of the women. Majority of the women been through a lot of things that affects them when it comes to dealing with men. Period.
Right.
It don't even have to be.
That's true. No, I'm not. That's true. I agree.
It's emotional abuse, everything. It's not just sexually, it's emotionally, it's physically. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not willing to help this person past it, then yes, I can see how it can potentially cause you not to want to be with the person. But where do you break that cycle?
Well, so hold on. Hear this, right? Let me interject.
Wait. Hold on, real quick before you do that. So when you say where do you break the cycle, what do you mean? Do you mean that I'm responsible for breaking your cycle because you were abused in your past?
No, you're responsible for breaking your own cycle.
Okay, I got you.
You could go 5 women down the line, and because they've been abused some way, somehow, you're not gonna try to see what this person is really about. You can be that person to potentially cause her to think different or allow her to think different.
Okay, Adam.
What?
Adam, what's your response to that? Because
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah.
point.
So here it is, right? I agree. I understand what Jasmine's saying. I understand. I think the other one's saying Jasmine also. I'm not really sure, but nice to meet you.
Yes.
But anyway, anyway, right? So my whole point is, right? If you a female in general, this is females in general, they're more emotional and more sensitive human beings versus a male. Not saying they aren't sensitive males and emotional males, but it's just genetically that's just what it is. So a woman can remember any type of emotional, verbal, physical abuse since she was about 5-6 years old and carry that on until she's about 40, bro.
That's kind of true,
This is
ladies.
this is why men get blamed for an ex-husband or an ex-fiance or an ex-boyfriend. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
get where you're going, but let me let them respond, because ladies, that's kind of true a little bit. I hear what you're saying a little
No,
bit.
that's true. But that's people in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't.
Let's take a prime example. Tyler Perry just got on and talked about he was molested.
Yeah.
The other guy from Everybody Hates Chris, mind you, they're older. That done affected them their whole life. So that's anybody.
Correct, is right.
Okay, so let me
That's
ask y'all this
anybody.
then. If it's everybody and we all agree, right? Well, let me ask you
Yes.
this. The difference, some of the nuances and the differences between male and female, we obviously internalize those things differently, right? So
Yeah.
And you also display them differently.
yes,
Women
yes,
may
We display it
emotionally,
differently.
but men display it with aggression.
right,
Men
okay.
display it with things like cheating. Men display it differently than women.
Hold on.
Oh,
So
yeah,
are you
yeah.
telling me-
I agree, Jasmine. I do, but
Hold
not
on.
all the way. Not all the way, baby
Hold
girl.
on,
You know
Adam.
that. You know that.
Right. So wait. So because there are plenty of women out here who do exhibit those past hurts and experiences through cheating
Correct.
and not being faithful.
Correct. It's 50-50. It's 50-50 at this point.
Do you agree,
Well,
ladies?
50-50.
50-50?
I agree. I agree. I mean,
agree that it could possibly be 50. I feel like I said, men display it differently when
Yeah.
it comes to being, because when you mix that aggression with the cheating, it comes off. I believe that's a lot of the reasons why men get caught in cheating. That's a lot of the reasons why women sometimes they know how to hide those things a little better, because they're not coming off so aggressive. Men display those things totally. Because first of all, the way the world twists everything, it's nowadays it's money over bitches, niggas over bitches, this, that, and that.
all
These
day.
are men
All day.
that
All day.
probably-
Like,
Exactly.
that's just
And
what it
these are
is.
men
Like,
that-
what you mean? Like,
that's not what it is.
and
These
I'm
are-
saying, though, hey, keep it
You
100. Keep
failed
it, pause real
things
quick,
like
Jasmine. Jasmine, hear me. If I was the ugliest guy in the world, right? Keep it 100. And I had $1 billion. And I said, all you got to do is sleep with me for $1 million for half an hour of your time. Whether you respect yourself or not, on the low, you might be like in public, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to give up myself. But on the low, you might call me in an hour and be like, yo, my nigga, for real? Like, you going to give me that meal?
Some people, not
Some
everybody.
Most people. What do you mean?
Not most. Because you couldn't get me with $1 million. You couldn't get me
No,
with
a million too small. But if I'm a billionaire and I hit you with a 50 mil,
Nothing.
oh my God,
Nothing.
I got that. I'm inside.
Absolutely
Not every woman
That's
is like that.
Money is
Hey.
money. Everybody is not like that.
But hold on, can you agree though? Can you agree? Without money, you can't do like 90% of things in 2018. Not 95, 2018. Can you agree? Without money, you can't do 90% of things.
That's a whole nother topic. That's a whole.
No,
nother topic.
this relates in relationships though. This relates in relationships.
We're not talking about technically just relationships.
So
We're
the
talking about
issue here
baggage.
is, and in Adam's defense, he came later. So the issue is, what we're trying to stay on the topic of is people who, because see, there's a specific reason why I have Adam here, and I'm gonna tie it up at the end.
Yeah.
So
You know, get him.
Tie it up.
people who have certain upbringings, and look, we're not just talking about sexual abuse. We're not even just talking about bad childhoods. You know, every family unit has its own culture on how kids are going to be raised, on, you know, education.
All right, I see where this is going.
You're confusing the screen. So hold on. So the issue is, when we get into our adult relationships, how much of what we've been conditioned by do we bring with us, and how do we navigate those waters on how to, you know, not bring those negative things into those relationships? That's exactly what it is that we're trying to stay on the topic of.
Okay, all right, I comprehend now. I understand. So let me just say one piece before, because I gotta hear Jazz. I hear that voice in like 20 years. I gotta hear that voice. So, so here it is, right? That's a fact. It's been a minute.
Wait. Just so I let everybody know. So Adam is joining us all the way from Trinidad. So that's why he's so excited
you already
right now
know.
to hear from Jazz.
Yeah.
He's not currently in the country right now. So
yeah, I'm not currently in US of A right now at the moment. You understand? I'm on a temporary basis where I'm at. You feel me? But
go ahead, Adam.
Right. So I'm gonna say it like this: how I was raised is completely different. Now, Kev, you met me at a time. Where did I live? Edison. What's most of Edison? White or Indian.
Right.
We're suburban. I didn't grow up in the ghetto, my nigga. I didn't grow up in Potters. I grew up in New Brunswick. Yes, that was kind of poor, but I was in a 2-family house, my nigga. I was actually pretty privileged 90% of my life. You understand? Keeping it real. If you could tell by the way I speak, I dot my I's and I cross my T's, my nigga. This is what I do. But being, No, hold on. I'm almost done. I'm gonna let you go. No, hold on. Listen, hold on.
You never know unless I talk like this all day, every day. So that ain't got nothing to do with how you talk.
No, I'm just saying. Listen. Yeah. I was raised differently. Remember, Remember, he said cultures. So where I'm coming from, we pronounce our words differently. I'm supposed to have a different accent than Americans. You understand what I'm saying? From the door. So being that I came to the US when I was 8, I adapted and I adjusted. Yeah, I went to Catholic school most of my life, but how do you speak? You understand? It's how I was raised. My mom speaks a certain way. Come on, Kev, you know how my dad talks. He's all over the place. He barely can speak English. But my mom make sure she made me, physically beat me and made me speak a certain way. You understand? And she said, to this day, I'm 33 years old. She'll say, Adam, never speak like you're ignorant or meaning in a sense like you're dyslexic, anything like that. Make sure you pronounce your words correctly. People could always understand you.
Okay.
Even though if you don't know what 2 + 2 means, you damn well know where can I go to the bathroom and pronounce it correctly. So in saying that, how are we going to interject that into relationships? I've dated, Kev, white girls. Not just saying I didn't have any issue with African-American females, Hispanic, nothing like that. It's just my preference lean towards them. Now, how a white girl will handle a relationship is 100% different than how a black or Spanish girl.
Why?
Because they're just like, I think honestly they're probably scared most of the time. Because Kev, you were there most of the time when I was arguing.
Well, we need to relate it to, because so if we're saying, if the argument is that different nationalities raise their daughters and teach them to be different in relationships, I can rock with that. Because Asian women,
here's the thing.
Indian women,
though.
They're taught to be more submissive. They're taught to their husbands.
Correct.
I feel like American women, and I hate to do this to y'all, but my sisters of the ethnic and urban influence, I feel like are taught to be harder on their men. I'm gonna need y'all to answer that for me. Why? What part of that upbringing? Where are those? Go ahead, Jazz.
I'm mixed. But I'm black, but I'm mixed.
Right.
And I agree. My Hispanic side, I was raised, I submit to my mate. I'm not going to just say man because I am with a woman.
Yeah.
So I submit to my mate, and it's just natural.
Do me a favor, Jazz, too. When you're done, Jazz, I said do me a favor, too, because most people totally misconstrue what submit means.
Right.
And I know that you're articulate enough to break it down for them, the difference between, oh, I'm not going to be nobody's yes man. That's not what it means. So
Right.
break it
That's
down
not
for the
submission.
people. Mm-hmm.
And also, just to clear it up, submission is not 50 Shades of Grey either.
Right.
That's not the form of.
No. Well, that's a whole different side of being submissive and dominant.
Right. So
Two different.
as far as submission, we're raised to, we take care of the home. We take care of our children. We believe that we are to care. We're the caretakers, and then our mate, the more dominant one, would be the person who brings home the money, or they bring home the food, whatever the case is. That's how a lot of Latin women are raised, and a lot of Black women are raised as well the same way. The difference is, in most Black homes, and we're going back to childhood. In most Black homes, there's not always a two-family home, and so sometimes
two-parent home. So
it's a single-parent home most of the time.
So sometimes it is a little harder when there is a single parent trying to raise a child to a form of submission. And then it's funny because I seen a post the other day that said, growing up, your uncles and your fathers and your cousins would say, don't let no man run over you, don't let no man talk down to you, don't let no man do all this thing. But they just tell you, they're not teaching you. So in a lot of urban ethnic homes, there's not always two parents. It's always something. It's sometimes different. And in most white homes, not in all, but in most white homes, there are two parents. And white women are submissive as well, but they don't look at it as submissive. They just look at it as,
this is the right way.
I have a husband. He has a great job. I might be able to stay at home, and I may be able to raise children.
They call them stay-at-home moms.
They call themselves stay-at-home moms.
They call themselves stay-at-home moms.
Right. That's not a form of submission.
What about the term submissive then? Why does it have a negative connotation to certain people who perceive it that way? And because it has to relate back to their upbringing somehow. Why?
It has to do with independence too, my nigga. Like, that's just it. Independence.
Yeah, but everything
like
you're saying, see, so you're at the effect. I'm asking about the cause. Independence, feminism, whatever. There's a cause. Something was there early on that instilled that belief system into that person. Mel or female?
Me personally, I believe that the reason why people look at it so negative is because, back in the day, it was basically you being submissive was more like you can't do what a man can do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So nowadays, people look at it as a bad thing because, like Adam said, it's more independent. It's like, well, I'm not going to stay at home. Is he going to stay at home? Now they gave women something to work towards. They gave women a lot more independence nowadays. So people just look at that submissive part as, oh, well, I can't be independent for myself if I'm submitting to my husband. But in the same sense, the reason why, so y'all say American or ethnic women don't submit to their men is because of how the men are.
Exactly. These
sometimes men abuse their dominance.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
I'm glad you said that. Because I'm gonna paint a little picture. This is the whole reason why I introduced this part into the discussion. I'm so glad you said that. Why is it that men get such a bad name for doing exactly what you just said we do? Think about this. Let's draw two parallels. Even in the same household, little boys and little girls are not raised the same way. They're just not. Little boys are raised to be less sensitive, to not show pain. Little boys are told when they fall down, get up, walk it off, don't cry, right? This is how little boys are taught. From the toys we play with, the way that they're marketed, everything. Little boys play with toys that blow up, shoot things, explode. It's all about competition. That's little boys. Little girls are raised as little princesses in most cases, right? These innocent little flowers. They're held up, they're coddled longer, and they're pacified, rightfully so, especially by their fathers when they're around. So you have these two different uh, dualisms that exist, right, on either side. And then you have this little boy that's been taught his entire life, don't be sensitive, don't show pain because it's taken his weakness. And then that little boy gets into their adulthood. And now they start to interact with the opposite sex in their relationships, right? Or even in same-sex relationships, because there's still an assumed role, right? We agree? So now you take that little boy who the majority of his life up to that point is told, don't show pain, don't show weakness, be hard, be tough. And now he's introduced to the complete opposite in the fair sex, right? And now he's expected to figure it out. Here's the other problem. At that age, we're talking about adolescence, early adulthood, teens, right? Girls don't want the sensitive boy. Girls want the thug, the badass, the bad boy, right? So now everything that he's been taught and conditioned to believe and to live his life by is now reinforced. Now, fast forward a few more years into adulthood, and that's not what a grown woman wants. But how do you expect that boy who's lived his life that way up to that point to suddenly understand what he's supposed to be like and make that switch?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna need a response.
If I could get a nail and a hammer, I would have hit it. But
well, listen, this all goes along with breaking that cycle. At some point, I understand that you were raised a certain way, but there's a complete reason why men and women differently. And this goes way back, years and years and years back. They raised men and women differently because that was the way that the world was going
at that time.
Exactly. If men were too sensitive, then they're gay. If women, you get what I'm saying?
But understand too, Jazz. Understand too, not to cut you off. This is our generation. We're the last true generation raised like that. Now the kids are being raised, different. But where it's our issue.
We were raised that way, but now, like I said, at some point, you cannot continue on that. Because my thing is, if you continue on, you see that the world is changing. You have to change with the world.
Right.
You have to change with the world. You cannot stay. And when you was 5 years old and your father told you, get up and don't cry, you can't stay that way when you get into your own family. You have to teach your family the way that you have to move with the world.
I agree.
You have to teach your family something different that's going to be more effective to this world and how you live in this world.
I agree, but I think we're underestimating the power of that conditioning. Yes, a part of it is choice. You have to realize there's a problem in order to fix it. What I'm saying is it takes a lot of relationships to get into one where that person cares enough about you to show you that something's wrong. Because again, Jasmine made the point earlier that people do it on purpose. Maybe by the time they get into that relationship with you, maybe it's conscious. But it takes a person who cares enough to show another person what they're doing. They may not see it until they're shown that. And only somebody who cares enough is going to show them that. So if all the people before you who cared enough to show them that just saw that, didn't understand it, didn't care to understand it, and just left, it's going to be hard convincing them that that's a thing. You agree with that?
It may be hard, but the thing is, you have to see it that's a difficult thing, because I completely understand what you're saying. It's hard to change who you are, because eventually that becomes who you are. How you were taught becomes who you are. But in a sense, at the end of the day, when you started going to school and you started seeing different people in different ways, you start to learn what's right and what's wrong. You start to learn the difference between men and women. You see how things wasn't right this way or things was right that way. You pick up things throughout your years. You don't just hold on to what your parents taught you. You pick up things throughout the years. Right. You can say that everybody in this world picks up things a lot of times you pick up more stuff from going to school from the other kids than you hold on from your parents.
Exactly.
So that's why Jasmine say people are conscious of the things that they're doing or what they went through in their past, because you pick up things. We're talking about we're 30, 31, 32, 33, 35, between 30 and 35. You can't tell me. Well, Jasmine's 27, but we in this era. You can't tell me that at this point you're not conscious of the things that you've been through and how it's affecting you now.
Absolutely.
You can be conscious of what you're doing. I don't think that necessarily means you're conscious of whether it's right or wrong generally and how it's perceived. This is why I say that, because again, it's not just about the extreme. A big part of my belief system, my personality, is that I don't pacify adults. That has caused a lot of issues in my adult relationships because people feel like I'm not sensitive enough or understanding enough. Me personally, I just fuck. I feel like if you're an adult, I shouldn't have to coddle you or pacify you. That has caused some issues in my relationships. I don't feel like I should have to change that. People don't feel like it's fair to them that I'm that way, but that came from somewhere. That was instilled in me over the years. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't prevent me from doing what I'm supposed to do, handling my responsibilities, being a loving person. But that part of my personality, most people probably would wish that they could change if they had to deal with it from me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Can I get a little interjection going on right now, my brother? Let me get in there. You know what I mean?
The difference is, though, I give that full disclosure in the beginning of any relationship I'm in, so you know full well. So that's another reason, too. Go ahead, Adam.
Right, yeah, let me tune in real quick for 30 seconds, right? So here it is, man.
You stupid.
I gotta point out that exact moment you just said right there. Now, here's the thing. If I grew up with my mom cuddling me and my mom saying, son, it's okay to cry when you fall. Son, it's okay if da-da-da-da, X, Y, and Z, Z, Y, and X. As you get older, like I said, I'm older. I'm an 80s baby. I'm taught completely differently. You understand? I'm taught toughen up, suck it up, be a man. Hence, I was in the Marines, one of the toughest branches. Be a man, toughen it up, suck it up. You got go Rambo if you feel no pain. So, like you said, that caused some of the problems in your personal relationship with your exes or with your present. You know, you understand? Mm-hmm. I'm almost the same exact way, except my difference is I'm from an era where loyalty and just being sensitive of your mate's needs, meaning if she cries, babe, are you okay? Babe, even if she gives you half of an attitude, you buy her flowers, you buy her candy, stuff like that. I believe 2018, they have no idea what it is to do to not really cuddle a woman, but be there for their significant other, man, woman, whoever it is that you're dating. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A woman, because that's who obviously I'm into, they usually don't have to tell me why they're upset.
Right.
They don't. It's just a feeling, my nigga. You feel what I'm saying? I will just go out the way to go do it. Now, I'm not talking about every freaking day is Valentine's Day, even though it should be. But you kind of have to.
We're not doing that.
You understand what I'm saying?
We're not doing that.
Huh?
We're not doing that on the stream. Fuck that. We're not.
I know. I'm just saying. You just have to be more compassionate.
Right.
Like I said, how I was raised. Be more compassionate. I have 4 sisters. I have a mother who's recovering from cancer. I just have to be more sensitive. I have a daughter. I have to be more sensitive. I have BMs. I have to be more sensitive to their needs. My needs, I'm a man. Like I said, I'm from an era where, hey, bro, you all right? Yep. I broke my leg in 8 different places, but I'm all right. That's the era I'm from. It's not this new age. So you just have to be more compassionate, man. Again, Kev, I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kev, we've known each other for years, but at the same time, you were more of the person that was more on the sensitive side, my nigga, keeping it 100.
I'm glad you said that because that's my.
You were, not me.
Glad you said that. And look,
but I became that person. I had to, like what's her name, Jasmine said, you have to go with the times. You have to go with the change.
So me,
you understand what I'm saying?
But that works both ways because me being that person.
Oh yeah, well of course, but you know what I mean.
You've known me for about 17 years now. Look where being that person has gotten me. in the majority of my
Pretty far, my nigga. You have a wife and kids.
No. Let's rewind. Let's rewind back. That's despite what happened. That goes to breaking the cycle or perpetuating it. But think about all the issues I dealt with because of that in my relationships prior.
That's true. Like I said, being the nice guy, you're practically trying to say basically the being the nice guy didn't get you too far.
No, what I'm saying is that conditioning it's a very powerful thing, and it could work for you or against you. And
Right.
you know, I have 4 sisters, so I was raised being more in tune with feminine characteristics. So that's why
Right.
I was that person you said I was. Problem is, I met the wrong people in my early adulthood.
At the wrong times and wrong people, correct, is right.
So those teachings were not reinforced. So I could have went the other way and said, fuck bitches. You know what I'm saying? I could have did that.
Yeah. I understand.
I'm saying it's
But-
not always going to be as easy as they're saying is. You see it changing.
My nigga, I came to the realization you can never, as a 33-year-old man, you can never please a woman ever in life. It doesn't matter what
that's
you
a fact.
do.
That's a fact, and that's a whole nother
not.
stream, though. That's a whole nother discussion.
Right, that's a whole different
That's a whole
stream.
other
That's a whole
discussion.
different stream.
We
But
gonna
it's
finish
just
this
on.
one. That's a fact.
You can't.
That's
You
a
just
fact.
cannot,
That's a fact.
dog.
They
You.
over
It
there
doesn't
laughing
matter
like that
what
shit funny.
you
That's a
do,
goddamn
dog.
fact.
It's a fact. It's a fact. I don't care if the woman's a lesbian, a
that's
dyke,
far from
We're not
straight,
doing
whatever
that.
she
We're not
is.
doing that. That's
She
a fact.
just
That's a
straight.
fact. We're
You
not doing
cannot
that.
please her, bro.
We'll do that. next
You
week.
can't.
That's a fact.
That's very far from the fact, but
That's a fact.
I'm gonna hold this to the next stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But respond to so it's okay. So
Hey, Jazz, keeping it real. You cannot. A man can never please a woman, no matter
That's
what
a
he
lot.
we're
does.
gonna do that next week.
That's
We're gonna
not
do that
a
next
fact,
week.
though. That's
That's
not a
another.
fact.
That's
come
another
on.
discussion. That's another.
Yeah,
let's go deep.
you're right, Kev. But just a little 30-second on this discussion. It's 100% fact. I can go to work. I can have perfect credit. You can have Benzes and money, and I could go travel the world, and you still will be fine to be upset about
But
something.
guess what? If you want to play it that way, if you want to play it like if reality is, women have a hard time pleasing men too.
Praise.
100. I keep it real. Yeah, come on. You know that.
He want a little 30-second. First of all, you
Yeah.
can't tell no
Ah,
woman how
shit.
you can please other women. You can't tell not one woman that you can't please women. You have no idea. You have no idea what women been through to say, oh, you can't please a woman. You can please a woman. You just don't know how to please a woman to the capacity she wants to be pleased.
So let me ask you something. When a man gets down on one knee, hold on. When a man gets down on one knee, and you take him for everything that he is, because you're gonna say yes, and I take you for everything that you are, and you will be, because I agreed to get down on one knee. Faults, defaults, good, bad. You fall, you become handicapped. I have to take it all. Correct is right?
Good, bad, and yeah.
So, the good with the bad. So, in between, why do people get divorced then?
People get divorced
Why?
because it's not always just.
It's not the women. It's not always the women.
Whoa.
Right.
It's not always the women.
Hold on.
Listen,
Hold on.
You can't answer. That's the question.
Hold
You
on.
can't answer the reason why people get divorced. And the only reason why
I can.
tell that myself is because I'm married and
Uh-huh.
I'm separated. I haven't divorced him yet, but
Uh-huh.
people separate and divorce for all kind of reasons. Because it could be
Yep.
good, bad, ugly, the worst. But it's but so much a human being can take. What if the person is getting abused all day, every day?
Here's the thing, though. And I agree. Everything you're saying, I do agree. Now, here's the only part what I will interject a little bit when it comes to physical abuse. You can't be sitting there getting your ass beat and be like, well, I said till death do me part. You understand what I'm saying? And you can't be having him call you fat for 20 years when you're like 100 pounds and he's like, you're fat. Or that's verbal abuse as well.
Hold on, Adam, because you're about to get your head cut off. He's agreeing. No, he's agreeing. He's saying that he understands women who get abused, getting divorced.
Or men.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, it was,
all I'm saying is I believe. Remember, I said this is my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not saying she's right, and I'm not saying she's wrong. But I will say, in my experiences, and you're correct, Jasmine, maybe the females I've came across, I give you that. I can't literally please them. White, black, Indian, Spanish, it doesn't matter who they were.
Exactly.
You understand? Kev, you know this. I don't date women my age. I date older women. I mean, 40s and 50s. It's what I do.
You got to check yourself.
Huh?
Don't you think? If you can't please an older woman, and let's say how much older? Because you're 33. So how old are we talking?
My ex is 44. My ex is 44. Hey, Jazz, I'll be wilding. Hey, now keep it.
That may be the problem. That may be the problem.
No. But listen, hear me real quick. They have everything already. They have everything. Well, most of them. Not millionaires, but I'm just saying they have their car, they have their house, they have their kids. Kids are older. You know, what else can I really literally bring to the table besides trying to show you who I am and everything that I am?
Communication, foundation, stabilization. You can bring so much to the table. It's ridiculous. She could be 44 and she got a mansion and she got a Benz and she got her kids are grown. They're all in college. They all graduated. And she's missing one thing: love. She's missing a person to laugh with. She's missing a person to hear her on her stressful day. She's missing a person so she can talk to about her children too, because she don't always want to tell her girlfriend.
Okay. This is gonna be another topic for a different day, but hear me real quick.
Yeah.
Hear this. If everything you're saying is perfect, right? If everything you're saying is perfect, right? Hear this. What if me personally, and Jasmine, you've known me since high school. Kev, you know me since high school. Most of my friends are females, not males. I have like about 5 male friends. Same. Would it be a problem for you if we're all in love and committed for me to have a female friend or 2 that I'm real close with?
Absolutely not.
Different topic for a different day.
Absolutely not.
But
we gonna move on from here. We're gonna move on from here.
I disagree.
Kind of just to touch in because it kind of relates.
It does.
The reason why, if you're asking that question, that means you've had issues with being friends with women while you're dating. Now, that's
correct is right.
That's the insecurity within themselves,
right?
And they probably had childhood issues or relationship issues that alter that. You could be best friends with the hottest woman in the world. We all gonna be friends. You might be closer to her, but we're all gonna be friends. At the end of the day, that's the insecurity within yourself. You're dating the wrong type of people, and you need to check yourself and help yourself before you try to get into a relationship with somebody else.
You know what? If I could get baptized with water right now, But here's the thing. I 100% agree. Like I said, I'm 100% behind you, and I wish things were a little bit different because Kev has known me when I was real good in life. I mean, like real good, and I found the wrong people. So correct is right. I just found the wrong ones. That's all.
But I'm a good person. I believe Jasmine's an excellent person. Y'all say y'all know.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Excellent
person. Oh no, Jazzy.
Listen. Hold on. Listen, I'll murder somebody behind Jasmine. That's family.
That's a fact.
Hey yo, keep it 100. Jazz, she know what it is. She know what her and the sister. She knows I back them up 100. That's all day.
But the good people who get hurt, the good people who struggle, that's just lessons for us. That's just now we know what we want. Now we know what we expect out of a person. That's all that means. Okay, so you're basically saying, long story short, don't settle for less. Don't ever settle for less. Always strive for excellence. But sometimes, not all the time, but at one point in your life, you're going to settle for less. Why? Because you have to learn what you want and what your expectations are. We've all done it. All right, that's true. Settle for less. All of us. That's true. That's true. That's the only way you're going to know. Yeah. But like I said before, way back like 10 minutes ago, I just feel like no matter what, I will never, ever can feel like no matter what I do, maybe it's an insecurity with myself, Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what it
And
is.
I was joking around before, but here's the truth. For men who feel that way, and I get it. I get why y'all feel that way, and there's times I feel the same way. The problem is because men have been taught, and mostly it's because of commercialization of holidays, anniversaries, what we're supposed to be doing. Every woman don't like those things. What it's about, what it comes down to, is communication. The best way for you to please your partner and vice versa is to have those conversations so you know what they expect. I was talking about
Yeah.
this with somebody before. I forget who it was. I'm the kind of person, right? I don't like surprises. I want to know exactly what's coming, who did it, from where, what time. That's just me. So if you
You don't like surprises.
surprise something, it could be the best thing in the world. If I tell you I don't rock with it, I'm not being a dick. You just didn't listen to what I wanted, me personally. People don't know how to tailor their efforts in the relationship to the person that they're with. And that's why we need to have these conversations. Because I think once we start having these conversations, people will realize the majority of the misunderstandings is because of how that person was conditioned throughout their upbringing. Be it, their
Right.
their relationship with their parents, their siblings, friend, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Right.
These things
Right.
play a big part in the relationships that we
A
have.
big part, my nigga. A big part, bro. Like,
But
I
it's
could-
not just about knowing those things and what you're doing. It's also about, a person understanding where you're coming from. But they can't do that if you're not going to communicate with them.
right, right. And like you said, Kev, there's only three things I've ever asked in all my relationships: loyalty, trust, communication. Period. That's it. And we all three of us has what it will always be key.
You
If
want
you
to
can't,
fix your Wi-Fi and repeat that, sir?
oh my bad. I said communication will always be key. It will always be key, no matter what. Communication. You understand? It's big. It will always be big.
So if we all agree to that, why the fuck do so many people get this shit wrong? What is it about
Because-
we've been through in
Well,
our past? that
This
we-
is throwing a shot. I gotta throw a shot because women always expect perfection. Women always expect perfection. They know nothing about flaws
Adam, hold on,
and
hold on.
imperfection.
That is-
Hold on. Wait.
that
Hold on.
is-
I got you, Jazz. Hold on. I got you, Jazz. I got you. Adam, could that possibly be because they were lacking it so much before? At what point?
Because they were lacking what? I'm sorry?
Because they were lacking it so much before. Look, at what point do you? Because somebody's gonna get hit with that. If you live the majority of your life, your father wasn't around, let you down. Because remember, as a female, the first man you'll ever love is your father. So he's not around. He doesn't show you that love, what it looks like, right? Then
Yeah.
all the men that you deal with up to that point, they're not about shit and don't know how to show you what that looks like. That first person who halfway does, they're going to take some punishment.
hmm
Do you acknowledge that?
Say the last part. I didn't. You like?
Do
mumbled
you
the last part.
acknowledge that that's the case? Do you acknowledge that?
I acknowledge there was not a male presence in the early stages. Yeah, I acknowledge that, but it can't always be the guy's fault.
No, I didn't say it was.
No matter the circumstance, the mom, like I said, the mom probably got abused by the dad. Didn't want, or maybe he was a predator or something like that. The mom didn't want the father around the child. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
But there has to be a brother
Hey, hold on.
or an uncle
Let me interject.
or somebody.
Go ahead, Jazz.
Let me interject real quick. What I think Kevin is saying is the reason why women expect nothing less than perfection is because they possibly lacked in something or lacked in a lot of things from before. So at some point you have to live your life the best way that you can. And if a woman comes into a relationship and she expects to get everything that she deserves, it don't necessarily mean that she expects perfection. It just means that she looks at herself as worthy, and she's worthy enough to get exactly what's needed in a relationship. That's all that means. Perfection is very hard to get to, and I'm sure women know that. But when you deal with certain people, you can't just dumb yourself down just because a man feel like he can't be something. You can't do that. Or another woman feel like they can't be something. It's not about being perfect. It's more about giving somebody what they're worthy of. And
That-
9 times out of 10, if you want a woman to live a certain way, according to who you are, you have to be a certain way too.
All right, correct or correct. Ah, right. I like that part. I like that part towards the end. Right. Now, I got a question. Jazz, you got a type of guy, right?
I got what?
I'm the woman. Sorry, my bad. I'm all over the place. You know, I gotta jump back. You remember we ain't been around in a while because I remember you used to date. Yeah, I mean, Jazz been a little while. Yeah, I mean, he's a
I didn't
date
forget.
back.
Don't we
Whoa,
me.
you didn't bring him back to high school years. Whoa.
Exactly, Jazz. It's been a minute, Jazz. It's been a minute, Jazzy Jazz. But hear me. You have a certain type that you look at.
Actually, I don't have a certain type of women. And
Oh, okay, maybe not you. Most people do. Most people do. Most people
Hold on,
do.
let her respond. Let her answer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is what you have to understand as well. Hold on, real quick. This is what you have to understand. See, people expect.
Okay,
People
Jazz.
expect perfection from
Alright.
me. I'm in your role. You got to remember that. I'm the aggressor in my relationships.
Right.
Okay, so but the difference between me and a lot of people is I give women what they deserve. Women can't handle that. That's something different. That's something different. When
you can agree with me with certain things, but disagree because you have the female aspect as well, right?
But see, I'm glad she actually said that because that's a big part of it too. I give people exactly what they deserve, and that's usually when I run into issues because everybody thinks
Right.
they deserve
But we can't
the
always
best.
be selfish though.
Everybody-
We can't always be
No,
selfish.
it's not
though.
about selfish. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I give people exactly what they deserve. Whatever treatment is warranted for me to give you based on how you interact with me is what I give you. The problem is everybody thinks they deserve what they see for themselves as deserving, but that ain't
Right.
that ain't what is actually going on here.
Right.
You gonna get what you actually earn is basically what I'm saying.
All right. So hear this. Good meeting you, bro. Yeah, I'm out. I gotta go. Kev, yeah, go ahead. In saying that, right? Hear this. Because your other friend like left or whatever. I wanted to piece her real quick. I know she had shit to do, whatever. People got things going on. I had my basic past has defined 100% the kind of person I am today. You see, I've been cheated on. I've cheated. I've physically put my hands on somebody, and I've physically got my hands put on by somebody, meaning woman. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not proud of myself for my past actions, but it happened. There's nothing I can do. I can't go back 10 years ago. I can't take it back. It fucking happened. You know what I mean? My daughter's mother and myself used to fight, physically fight, like, like fight boxing.
Okay.
You understand? Now, that was a terrible relationship because it wasn't really a relationship because I was dating other people. I was engaged to other people while still fucking her. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So my life and the shit why I say I don't trust women and shit is because a person can't trust somebody when they were doing dirt in the first place. Me. This is my personal life. I can never trust a woman because I was a cheater. I used to fuck around, past tense.
So the question is pertaining to what we're talking about. Why were you a cheater? What was it?
I'll be straight honest. This is me being honest. I can't tell you I was too young, but as I was growing up, it was told, and I physically saw when I got to a certain age, I physically saw my father cheating on my mother. Physically saw with my own 2 eyes.
Now, Jasmine.
He actually brought me to the woman's house.
Now, Jasmine.
Who he was fucking with, and he left my mom for the same lady.
All right, now, Jasmine.
And he's actually married to her today, which is Steve's mom.
Yep. Now, Jasmine, you hear this shit, right? Because this is what I was talking about. This is strong condition. Yep.
And I completely understand you.
But to be clear, I agree with the point you're about to make. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but go ahead.
Okay, I understand. This is the point that I made. This is the basically how we started off this topic. At what point in your life do you break that cycle? At what point in your life do you say this is wrong? As a man, you now know that this is wrong. So do you move on from there? Do you continue to do it because you saw it in your childhood, or do you move on and be a better man than your father was?
Right, and I'm gonna tell you when I stopped doing it. I'm gonna tell you exactly when I stopped doing it. When I got incarcerated, when I got locked up in 2013. When I got locked up that same night and months went by and I saw there was nobody in my corner, literally nobody, not even my own mother, I said, yo, something got to give. This shit, I fucked up. And that resulted for cheating for 2.5 years on my fiance herself. My not Amory, not my daughter's mother, my other fiance after that.
Now, what
Because
he
here's the
just
thing, I have kids back to back. Back literally 1 month apart, back to back.
now
By a
what he
woman I
just
knew
said
for 1 month
is super
and a woman I knew
important
for 13
because
and a half years.
what he
You
just
understand
said
what I'm
is
saying?
hold on. What he just said is super important because, and I think this is the case for most people. You can know full well that something's wrong, but be conditioned to have that behavior anyway. But until
Yeah,
there's
of
some
course.
kind of a major event in your life,
Major event.
you're
Right,
not
right, right.
going to be motivated to actually make that change. And that's what I was talking about when I
Correct. 100%.
realize it, but may not have the power to change it because conditioning is like a current. Once you're caught up in that current, you going with the flow of that current until
Yeah.
something major enough interrupts that current.
Mm-hmm.
So for some
I
people, it's like,
realized to this day, I
mhm.
realized what I was doing in the past was wrong. It was very disrespectful. It was uncalled for. I should be dead because, you know, I mean, these girls, freaking uncles or somebody should kill my ass for doing what the fuck I was doing. Uh, you understand? Like, yeah, I know you're about to pee over there. I had a lot of shit going on, but the thing is, too, I have a lot of mental issues when it comes to females. You understand? Me growing up as a child, my father never hit me. Not even once in my life has my dad took his hand, punched me, slapped me, nothing. But my mom, mother used to whoop that ass. You understand? I grew up as a child in a country where teachers, because I went to Catholic school, so nuns were the females, used to beat me as a child. If you fuck up, if you do anything, they was beat my ass one time. So, like I told my ex, I had a resentment, and I've carried a resentment. Part of me to this day still does for females.
And
Not
that's
saying
legitimate.
going to
That's
the other
legitimate.
side, just
Yeah.
doing like these are the women that used to hurt me as a child.
Mhm.
So why the fuck would I ever respect you? Because all y'all used to do is just hurt me,
But see,
inflict
Because all
physical
women
pain on
aren't
me.
the same. All women
yeah,
Right,
aren't the
but
same.
remember, Jazz, remember, these are teachers. These are my grandmother. These are my mom. These are my sisters. This is me getting beat from a child till basically I was 14 when I
no,
couldn't
it
take this
makes
shit no
sense
more.
because when the authority figures in your life set that tone, everybody else kind of follows that mold, the way you perceive it. So it makes sense.
Right.
It
It
makes
makes
sense.
a
I used to
lot of
get
sense,
beat
and
by
I understand
everybody.
what you're
Not
saying.
men, but I'm
But
saying.
now here's the problem, though, right? To draw it all together, right? If he didn't have those conversations with those females that he was dealing with at that time, and let them know that
Let me
that's
work
what was
again.
in his past, that's what was the experiences that he had,
Thanks.
they wouldn't have
On my main
understood
gate.
anything that they were dealing
We
with
going
the
pump.
issues that he brought into
Yeah.
the
My
relationship.
bad, I was on the phone and
But that
shit.
was up to
Regular.
him to communicate that to them. And if he didn't, then that was, that was on him. But if he
Where you
did,
going, Arima?
then it would have been their choice to decide if they want to deal with it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like my mom came out here 2 weeks ago. Me and my mom had a 6 hour, maybe a 5.5 hour conversation together. And in that conversation that we had, she told me and I told her, like, she apologized for shit that happened when we were kids. And I mean, when I was a kid and this, that, and the third and everything else. You got to understand that my mom had a lot of resentment towards my dad. I looked like my father when I was younger.
It's
So
perpetual.
anything I did wrong, she felt like, fuck it, I'm gonna take it out on this little nigga. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it
See
was.
what I'm saying,
That's
Jazz?
exact.
That's
She
automatic
apologized
for some
literally
people.
to me, and my mom is 58 years old, and she had to apologize. Son, I'm so sorry for taking out how I felt about your father towards you. She apologized for it, and I felt all this time like maybe she was trying to teach me, but she told me half the time she was beating me because she used to be mad at him.
But see, that's how strong conditioning is. That's what perpetuates most cycles. It's hard to break, Jazz, even for people who
It's
know it's
very.
wrong.
I understand that it's very hard to break, but once you get to a point where you know what's right and what's wrong, you can't make everybody in your life from whatever age you started dating on suffer for something that I don't care who it is, whether it's your mother, your grandmother, your sisters, your teachers, suffer. You can't make nobody. I can't make anybody suffer for what I've been through in my past, because
Right.
at the end of the
You
day,
you
what
can't
you did,
you can't you can't.
you may have come across some good women. You
Right.
see, but like Kevin said, you have to have that initial conversation
Facts.
that informs these people what you've been through, and allow that woman to prove to you something
Or
different,
vice versa.
or vice
Yeah,
versa. You have to give people chances. That's honestly, and that's the problem. Nobody wants to give the next person a chance because of what they've been through. You have to give people chances
right,
because everybody is not the same. In
correct.
2018, there's so many different people now. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody has different type of ways of living. Everybody has different ways of thinking. You have to give people
yeah,
chances. You know what I'm saying? And that's my
yeah, yeah.
point.
And that's
That's
why
my
And,
point.
communication is so
You
important.
you
and
can't
here's the
make
thing
people
too.
better.
Correct. Here's the thing too. But I also instilled in my head that I would never, ever, ever in life be physically harmed by another woman in my life. I just implicated it in my everyday life. And that's why me and my daughter's mother used to fight. She used to come, fuck you, Adam. I found out about so and so. Kev was there for one of these incidents.
Yeah.
7 times I got punched in my face. 7 times. I never touched her. Towards the end, when she got rocked,
But you also
because I stood there and took it
Hold
in
on,
her.
Adam, because
this
we're getting
falls
off
into
topic.
another topic too.
Yeah, so
You
hold on,
also
topic. Yeah.
attract the type of, sometimes people attract the type
That's
of
true.
people that
That's
they
true.
don't that they don't want to. I don't want to say don't want to be with, but that they're running from.
You,
People attract the type of
Right.
people.
you mean like subconsciously? You mean so like subconsciously? I'm
Right.
attracting women, like abusive women. Basically,
Right.
that's
And I
Right.
think
all right. All right. I can understand what.
and I think it's directly related to that conditioning too. You might not be conscious of it, like Jasmine said, but it has to do with that conditioning. Because if you know, because of the way you were conditioned, because of those experiences, that you can't trust females, you might not know that you're picking up on those vibes from a certain woman who you know is not going to be trustworthy. So you might be attracted to that person. You know that you ain't really going to be in a position where you're going to be loyal or faithful to her, so you don't care on that level. But these are the types of women typically who are going to bring those types of issues and that drama.
Right. Well, I don't think he's up here anymore. But
That's cool.
we also moving into so many different topics. I
Yeah,
think it's about time
they kept
to
going off on a tangent, but it did all relate kind of. So I mean, we could wrap it up. Final thoughts.
right.
So I feel like you and me were the most on what the major premise was, but I still feel like what they were saying still drew back. You know what I'm saying? In some way,
Right.
shape, or form.
Yeah.
Eventually, it related. It
Yeah.
related to the topic.
hmm
But basically, what I'm gonna say, my final
Sum it
thoughts
up.
is,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
going through things in your childhood is still not a valid reason on making people hurt in your adulthood. Making people hurt when you get after a certain age. Once you grow up through all those years that you've grown up, you start to pinpoint on things that's right and pinpoint on things that's wrong. Everybody's not the same. You have to deal
Yeah.
with people accordingly.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it. You have to do it at some point. At some point, you have to break that cycle
Right.
because
Hold on, Adam.
And I agree with you.
She's giving her final thoughts. She's not.
Yeah,
She's
I'm just saying. No, I just said I agree. I'm listening. I'm just not interjecting. I'm
So-
just saying I agree.
so at some point you have to break that cycle.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not
Right.
the person to say that at this age or that age you should break your cycle or you should be this or you should. But if you feel as though that you're going through something from your childhood, it's up to you to seek that type of help. It's up to you
Yeah.
to want to completely understand what you're going through in order to have better relationships in the future. People make
Right.
mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes, just like
Correct.
you learn from your childhood. Don't you're gonna hold on to everything that you went through in your childhood, but you learn from them things. Just like there's men out here and women out here that seen people their loved ones get beat on, and they'll say, "I'm gonna be a better man" or "I'm gonna be a better woman."
Yeah.
if
Yeah, of
everybody
course.
thought that way, then we would have better relationships in our future. So that, I
100%.
mean, at the end of the day, that's how I feel, and that's my final thought. So
All right.
go ahead,
So,
Kev.
Adam, real quick, I'm gonna let you do your final thoughts on it. So, basically, right, when we do our final thoughts, it's to the
Uh huh.
people watching. It's not to us. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not directing anything towards anyone that's on this chat. So, yeah, you remember, well, my final thought, obviously, I came in kind of late, so my bad. I was at work, regular shit.
No, no, no,
So, my final thought on everything is what Jasmine just said. I'll just say her name for this. She hit, she hit it perfect. People like myself, people who were physically, mentally, verbally abused, emotionally abused as a child, grew up into the people we are now, whether we want to be independent, whether we want to be abusive still. We just have to somehow find a ground, like a common ground or some type of way we could say to ourselves, you know what? I'm not going to be like when I was a child, get my ass beat. I'm going to be different. I'm not going to hit my child. I'm going to teach my child what it is not to hit. I'm going to teach my child. I'm going to teach myself, because you can't teach a child, you can't teach other human beings how to be better unless you change yourself. Like the other Jasmine said before she left, you have to find something within yourself. Now, every day's a growing process. In saying that, I grow every single day. Every day I make mistakes. Every single day there's something going wrong, but you also try to fix it in your relationships, in your everyday life. If you're engaged, if you're married, if you want a person you have a crush on, you got to figure out a way not to do what you did with this last person, to make this one person. And for me, I seem to always attract a certain type, but I have to break that attraction. Even though I may not see it, I need to open my eyes, open my heart, open my brain, and in a spiritual aspect, probably even pray on it a little bit. You understand? To not be around certain individuals, to not be the person that was abusive to physically, verbally, anything like that. It's very hard to break a cycle like that, bro. It's extremely hard. I'm dealing with that every day. I feel like I'm right all the time, and I could be wrong all the time. You understand what I'm saying? I just feel like as a unit, if you're in a relationship, loyalty, trust, and communication. If you don't have any of that, don't try to find it in a flyby. Don't try to find it in a rebound. Don't try to find it in anybody. You gotta find these things with if some people would say God. If you want to go to the bar, you could find a good person at the bar. You could find a good person in the library. You could find a good person in church. But sometimes you just stumble upon people, and then you will just know that whatever you did 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you won't ever in life do it. We are human beings. We're always going to make mistakes. We're not perfect. We're imperfect. You understand what I'm saying? We just got to fight through it. And somebody like myself, for individuals out there, final session, like for people who were abused, you got to find a way inside of yourself to forgive your mother, your uncle, your cousin, your grandpa, whoever it is that did whatever to you when you were 4 years old or 15 years old. You got to find a way to just let it go. Like the song says, let's try to move on. Find a hobby, find a different job, try to work out, try to running, anything that you can try to better yourself as a human being. If not, every single relationship you get into is just going to be toxic.
All right.
Every single one.
That's dope. I respect all that. All right. My final thoughts kind of also, I'm a bounce off of both of y'all too. But here's where I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn. Um, I never think anybody should be excused for their actions if they're at a point in their lives, at an age and a mental capacity where they should know that those actions are wrong and could potentially harm other people. Here's the problem. We don't live our lives in real time. We live our lives in our heads. And when you live your life in your head, you experience those same things that happen to you over and over and over. And there are different triggers. And you can have triggers in your current relationship that might not necessarily relate back to something that reminds you of something, but it still may in some way, shape, or form. And I know that
Yep.
the first step to fixing a problem is identifying it. That's the first step. But after you identify it, you have to be willing, strong enough, and open enough if you trust the person that you're dealing with to let them in and go on that journey with you. Because when you don't communicate to someone else what you're going through or what you went through, there's no way that they could help you or understand your journey. And that's a big, big, big part of it.
Right.
Nobody expects you to know how to fix every problem in life. There's no such thing. There's always going to be something that you're going to come across because we apply our own perspectives to things, and those things create realities, and then we get trapped inside those realities, and then we treat people in our lives based on how we exist in those realities.
Hmm.
But when we let other people in and we get different perspectives, sometimes we're able to see things from a different angle. So I would just say communicate more in the earlier stages of your relationship and let those things out. Even if you don't think they're an issue, let them out. Even if you don't think they apply, let them out. If a person is asking you to let them in, let them in. Because if you don't, you run the risk of perpetuating that cycle. And then once you do that and expose that person to that, those same things that you shouldn't be doing that were done to you, don't expect that person to want to forgive you for it. Don't expect that person to want to stand by you through it because you didn't give them the option. That's all I got to say. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love.